So the podcast that I chose to listen to today is called Creating Meaningful Learning Experiences, and it came from the Every Classroom Matters that we subscribe to. And this particular one is talking about how teachers need to be able to change from their past experiences, if they had negative ones, to how to turn those into positive ones. Teachers need to change themselves so you can change their students. A lot of times students need more opportunities to learn and grow in different areas, and teachers can affect these learning experiences to really bring them to love learning. The main focus with this particular podcast was to focus on the quality of time that you have with kids. You want them engaged. When you have children that are not engaged in the classroom, it can bring chaos real quick. And I think every teacher has experienced that a few times in their lives. So it's not just about giving tests, checking to see what they know. You can even doing that, you can have different ways of doing different assessments. You know, old school is here you go, here's your test. Very standard testing. You know, you can turn assessments into, fun games. It's checking for knowledge. It's checking for content that they know about that particular lesson. And there's other ways of doing it. It's not just about just regular standard testings. Now, you need to meet their needs, and that is getting to know the students. You need to know what they like. I particularly have a kid that is just wanting to be a part of CAL FIRE. He hates reading. He hates reading. So today I was able to print up fire articles for him. Any type of article from CAL FIRE is something that talks about our California fires, why they're so bad. And he's able to read those articles, and instead of doing regular testing, he can write a one-page essay, But it's what he's learning, it's what he loves. So I think teachers need to adjust with each kid, Sometimes you just need to see what they're engaged with. You can still teach to the curriculum. California has standards, and also it gives you, how to even teach the lesson from word all the way down. But I think it's our job is to learn how we teach kids. So one way that they were talking about to bring experiences into the classroom is teachers need to have personalities in their lessons. And when you have a teacher that just kind of stands up in the front of the classroom, and a lot of us already had those type of teachers or coaches that literally just talk. They just go up to the chalkboard and they just talk. You start losing kids. You really start losing their attention. And you can just see it in their eyes that they've checked out. So they used an artist as a phrase for teachers. They said that all teachers need to be artists in the fact that they need to work with their learning. So when you have a lesson and you have the core standards in front of you and you have exactly what you're supposed to be teaching, what they want you to do is look at that lesson and how can you turn it into being getting the kids engaged. How can you turn that lesson to maybe have fun, I know I was able to have a teacher that at the end of the week for an assessment check, we were able to play Jeopardy. It was a highlight of the week. He got what he needed for, who knew what in the class. And I mean, the kids loved it. And this is high schoolers, so when you have high schoolers that love to come to class on a Friday, that at the end of the day, when that bell was ringing, we're going, no, we wanted to finish who is going to win. That is just one way of just really being able to bring a fun experience and even, remembering that years from on. And we also need to be aware of how children learn. In other classes, we've learned that children learn in different ways. Some are visual, some just, is just auditory, some do need to have movement. So we need to know our kids and what they need. And maybe, we need to put a variety of learning styles into every lesson. but it comes back to bringing the kids first, knowing what they are, knowing their needs, and having an individualized plan for each kid to make sure that we're meeting their needs, and how we can bring some fun, learningful, meaningful experiences for the rest of their lives. And that's through designing and putting innovation into these lesson plans. So in this next podcast that I listened to from House of EdTech, it is called How to Teach Virtually. And it really brings home to where a lot of the teachers are at right now. And I feel that I chose this particular podcast because I'm distance learning with my group right now. And I know that kids are struggling all over the world right now. Teachers have been thrown into online teaching, never knowing how to do it. I know I was, and that's why in this particular class that we're taking right now, it really helps with where we're at right now in our world. He was talking about using different types of streaming devices. One was podcasting, in which we're learning right now. He was talking about speakers being able to use this and teachers being able to use this as just an easy way, even just right from your phone. Some are set up for computers, some are set up for phones. And to talk right into your phone, to be able to give lessons to kids, to be able to talk to them, give them instructions. You know, it just, when they hear your voice, you are talking to them personally. And what he was mentioning is they're able to listen to these podcasts that you put together anywhere. We know a lot of kids, you know, if they're riding the bus, they can literally just plug in their headphones and listen to the podcast. They can listen to it in the shower. They can listen to it while jogging. They can listen to it at their desk. It just opens up the door for them to be able to get the communication back and forth that the teacher needs, and if they have questions, they can then go back to the teacher. It really is a great tool for them to use in the classroom. Now, he did mention that, you know, this is just for giving instructions to be able to teach a lesson that just, you know, is straightforward. Sometimes you need to be able to show the kids through textbooks or on the whiteboard, and that is going to take some screen sharing. And that is using the video content, and students need to have for those lessons. Now, he mentioned Screencastify. Now, this particular setup is easy for teachers to use and also quick in formatting. And you can demonstrate exactly what they need in front of you for them to be able to visually understand. So if we're doing a math lesson and they're going to really need to see the steps in this math lesson, this is a perfect time to be able to use the screencasting. And then you download that video or give them the link to where they can find it. So a lot of kids, especially right now, need that visual learning still in many of the classes with science experiments, and just I find out with just many of the different subjects that you have to teach. So when you do the screencasting for them, they're seeing you talk to them. And that was one of the things that they mentioned in the podcast is teachers need to talk to the camera. They really need to have that interaction with the child. They need to make sure that the child is feeling like a student, because right now they have a lot going on. You know, they have a lot of different stressors going on in their lives that they're just not used to. And one of the things that they talked about in this podcast was they don't have the social interaction that they're used to. And this is leading to a lot of depression. You know, kids are shutting down. It's not they're not feeling good right now. So when you are able to give a lesson and they see face to face, it does help some. So that is a good way of doing it. Now, the other subject that they talked about was live streaming and video conferencing. And we kind of know the live streaming because that's what Simpson's doing right now in our classes through Google Classroom, through Zoom. So there's different ways to be able to stream face to face. And I find it that This is perfect for when parents can't come in. You can still talk to them about their children. You know, you can still give them updates. You're looking at them face to face. You are still having an interaction with those parents. And also this goes for the kids. You know, I have morning greet every morning where I see every single one of my kids' faces. And it's just what a great way to start the day and to make sure that they are, you know, staying on top of their work, checking in to see how their mental states are doing, you know, how their days are going. So I love the live streaming and video conference ways of being able to talk to our kids and their families as well. So I really loved this podcast that I listened to today from the Teacher's Lounge. Mike Roberts gives us meaningful things educators can do every day. And actually, this list is great for all teachers, I feel. Especially, I think, for when you're just starting out with teaching and you're new. These are things that could really help a new teacher as well. So he gives a list of the top 10 ways that we can make meaningful changes in our lives with our students. So the number one was being able to arrive early. Now, this is because you want to be able to be prepared for class and have things organized. It's the worst thing when you get to school, you're running late, you're already frustrated, kids are coming in, you're not prepared, they're seeing this, and that causes chaos in the classroom. And it does cause chaos in the classroom. So being able to be prepared already going in, when you have no stress when you arrive, it's a wonderful feeling. So the number two is greet the students at the door. You know, you used to be able to knuckle bump them, you know, good morning. This just really makes personal connections with each and every student. And there's some great ways to, you know, also individualize those students. Some might like a hug, some might like, you know, a wave. Let them choose how they want to do it. It's really a neat way of starting the day, and it starts their day off right too. Now, engaging in lesson plans. This is really, you know, we just talked about this with my last podcast, that children need to be engaged with lesson plans. They need to feel that it's not boring, and bringing in all these new tech tools that we've learned in this class really can make a difference. When you have kids that are able to learn about bats and able to see the bat, you know, read about it, look at it, watch it, how does it hibernate, it really brings the lesson plans all together. So that's a great way of showing how to engage lesson plans. Another one is varying teaching methods. And again, we talked about this, and we need to know the learning styles of each and every one of our students. We need to not just teach orally. We need to throw in different types of learning styles in all our lessons and each day. So we want to be able to have those each day be different. And, you know, sometimes you just get up and sing songs, you know, about your lesson. You can tie it in. But there's just so many different ways to bring in those different types of teaching methods. Another one is praising each idea. So when students just need to feel appreciated. And in doing so, when they're, you know, nervous and having to read in front of the classroom, when they're done, tell them a good job, you know, praise them for the little things. It doesn't need to be constant praise, but just when you see something, you really should bring it to their attention. And it does really, really affect the children's just mental state. So number 6 was trust students to do what is right. And I love this one because you want to start out the day with full trust and let them grade tests, let them, you know, be able to take home tests. And then if they mess up, then you know you need to change and discipline. So that it starts out with the students knowing that you are giving them, starting out with trust. And that's just huge. Number 7 was assessment options. And this is another thing we just talked about, is don't just do standardized testing. Have different types of testing in the classroom, you know, have them read different ways. It doesn't help when all they do is get, you know, plain instruction from reading and here's your test and end of the day. You know, You want to make meaningful changes in the classroom, and this is just a great way of doing it. So another one is lead by example. This is huge. This is where class management plans come in handy. You have a set of standards, and when you set the classroom how you want it run, the students will be, they will uphold those rules. And if not, then that's a whole nother story. But you do need to set the example. So if I'm running late to class and coming in with a bad attitude, this is going to be what's going to be setting the example for our kids, and this is not how you want to do it. So, and the last one is plan out transitions so they don't end in chaos. Transitions need to be smooth. You need to try to make them smooth. If they're not smooth, we all know that just quickly things can change. Kids can just start, getting rambunctious, and it's just not the way to do it. So just make sure that you're able to have smooth transitions, and it goes just a smoother part of the day. Another podcast that I chose to listen to today from the new Google Classroom, and it is by Matt Miller and Casey Bell. And this is updates that were coming from Google. So the entire podcast was talking about the different upgrades that are coming to Google or have come to Google, and how it can help teachers in the classroom. I chose this because this is how I do Google Classroom with my kids every day. And I'm learning each day how to use these different tools with the kids. It is a tech world now, and these kids are really being able to learn tech for the first time. At least I have young kids. So they're being able to use the Google Classroom for the first time. And we need to be able to understand how to teach these kids, in this type of field. Now, some of the way they were talking about with the Google Classroom changes is it was a new look. It's easy to use. Teachers are able to, when you do Google Meet, it's just an easy process of just opening up a link and all of us coming in and being able to talk to each other. We learn how to do a whiteboard in Google Classroom, so you can do some of your integration with lessons with the kids, and being able to show them corrections that they need to do on any of the work that they're struggling with. So these are all great tools that Google Classroom has set up for teachers. And there's been a lot of